Hi, my name is Erin. I'm with the Beehive Design Collective. You can see us at beehivecollective.org. We're an all-volunteer organization of activists, artists, educators, and organizers. And what we do is we make large-scale graphics. There are giant maps that explain global issues visually for perhaps if you need a different way to learn or something more engaging than a textbook that's boring and uses crazy big words that make you think there's no possible way you could explain politics. But instead, we use cartoons, and we only draw pictures of animals. We don't draw pictures of humans to avoid stereotypes, gender, age, race, class, size, any of those things. And the way that this poster works, it's about mountaintop removal coal mining, and it works in chapters. So the top part of the picture is all larger systemic issues, abstract ideas of what's going on, like the big picture. And at the bottom, we have local stories told to us from folks in Appalachia, because we're talking about the Appalachian coal fields, and we did a research trip to begin our project by asking the residents of the Appalachian coal fields, what's happening, how is it affecting you, how is it affecting your environment? And they told us, and we asked them what animals they wanted to be, and they told us. And then it works from left to right in 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is the history of the land, the story of the mountains, where coal came from, why it's important for our environment, and the lives of the people who had been living here for thousands of years before colonization and industrialization, which is chapter 2. The history of the partialing out of land deeds, the ending of homesteading, the coal camps, and the rich history of union coal miners who are responsible for fighting for our rights. 8-hour day, 8-hour day, 40-hour work week, weekend, vacation, safety standards, healthcare, all this stuff was fought for with guns sometimes, for us to have these rights, and we have a huge amount of respect for the coal miners, and we draw that here. And that is a transition that sets the legal precedent for chapter 3, this double-wide chapter in the middle that's all about mountaintop removal, how it works, who it's affecting, how it's affecting the environment, how it's affecting the water and the mountains which are crumbling due to erosion, huge amounts of floods and spills that are happening because of the storage of toxic waste that's being made from mountaintop removal coal mining. And we zoom out and tell the story of why we are doing this, why our economy is demanding such incredible amounts of coal, and how it is that even though we're going to such great lengths to take it out of the ground, eventually we are just wasting it and putting it back in as trash that can never be used again. But good news, there's a whole chapter. Chapter 4 is all about resistance to all of this, from the local to the global, from community organizing to coalfield citizens' rights protests to folks in the city resisting new clean coal power plants. And then we also talk on the top about who we're resisting, the financiers and the regulators who make this possible, much more powerful than the coal companies themselves. And then in chapter 5, we discuss regeneration, the regeneration of the land and regeneration of our culture of wastefulness, and scenes of return, where those who are forced to leave the coal fields due to the economic downturn can come home again. Now, secret trick is that when you're done with the poster, it folds. This tree and this tree fold together to make one tree. It's like the back of a Mad magazine. And when it does, it reforms an intact mountain holler where all of the life cycles are intact. And things that were broken apart by this mountaintop removal site you didn't notice are reformed again. These maggots and worms, which are recomposting the topsoil, something that is not happening on mountaintop removal sites, are right next to these snails, which are harvesting the 3 sisters, corns, beans, and squash. 3 plants that when grown together help each other grow and enrich the soil. These ancient musicians are having an interdimensional cross-generational hoedown with these modern-day musicians. These animals that were forced to leave their homes on the Trail of Tears get to come home generations later on the longest walk, a march for indigenous rights that went from Alcatraz Island to Washington, D.C. to raise awareness to treaties that had been broken. Here we see animals collecting local foods, getting food from their environment instead of somebody else's miles away, are here next to those that are canning it for the winter, teaching each other how to establish a local food economy. And the night sky fades over into the future of the coming dawn. And that's our poster. Short version. We'll be here at the Independent Media Center tomorrow from 1 to 5 doing a workshop about storytelling using graphics, and we're in the middle of a cross-country tour. There are 5 tours, a tour on the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Appalachian, and Southwest. And if you live in any of these areas, we'll be touring, not just for the next 2 months this fall, but also next spring. So check us out, beehivecollective.org. If you want us to visit your school or town, email us, and we will.